It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the number one business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission really is to empower, our mission is to inspire, and our mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this particular episode, we have the one and only Leah Hayes. Did I get that right? She's in the building.
Lee Hayes.
I can say Leah. Lee's in the building, and she'll be talking about the business of speaking. What's going on, Lee? It's good to see you again.
It is good to see you again. I was so excited to meet you in New York. You crushed it on stage, so I'm excited to be here.
But thank you. Excited to be here, man. Ramon's amazing, by the way, and what a connector he is as well. The folks look at the title and seeing the business of speaking, and I'm curious where we are in the world. Why do people still list speaking as one of the biggest fears they have amongst anything else? I'm just curious. What's your view of the world?
So just my view, right? I'm not a psychologist, but you're right that fear of public speaking is one of the number one phobias. And here's my thought. I believe it's because once you're in front of people, whether it be a camera, whether it be 1,000 people in the audience, you're suddenly being judged, right? You are naked to the people. If you make a mistake, there is no recovery. It's one thing, if you write an email and you go, oh, delete, and you fix it. Once you're live on stage, there's no delete key. If you mess up, you own it. To me, I think that's what makes it terrifying, because I know speakers who are experienced. They've done this for years, and they said they're still terrified to get on that stage. It's just walking out there and having to say, what if everyone boos me? Right? It's scary.
And as far as someone listening right now and saying, well, can you have her, Shay, talk about the moment? Is the difference between speaking through the power like these fiber optic lines like we're doing right now versus speaking on a stage with an audience there? Is there a difference? And if there is, Shay, what is it? And what's the fear difference?
Wow, that's a good question. Because again, I'm not a speaker. And it's interesting. Speakers who are great on stage are not necessarily good on the small screen, and vice versa. It's a very different medium. I think maybe that's why Broadway actors are not necessarily TV actors, and vice versa. If you're on a screen like this, like even though we're doing this, you and I are speaking live, no one's seeing it live. If I really mess up and you go, oh my, I can't believe she said that, you can get rid of it. If I make a mistake, you can fix it. And I think plus you don't see the person you're talking to, right? I'm talking to a dot right now, and that's not as scary. But if you get on that stage and there are people sitting there staring at you, judging you, and a lot of the judging nowadays is not even that they boo you, right? It's this. That suddenly a device is more important than a human being, and people will shut you down and shut you off. And I think that's horrible too, getting on stage going, can I keep the attention of the people in front of me?
Now, in the speaking part, which I think is important, one of the things you mentioned earlier was that it's one of the lowest barriers. So you can get into it. So, okay, look, check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Most folks are afraid of public speaking, yet it's the profession that you can get into and make a lot of money at and build your business. Talk about why you feel like it's low barrier, number one. And number two, we'll get to the business of speaking in a moment, but why do you feel it's a low barrier for most folks to be able to get started?
Well, if you think I think speaking is the craziest business because there is zero requirement to do it. You can just say, I'm a public speaker. There's no licensing, there's no training, there's no requirement to do it. You don't need a degree. You can just say, I'm a speaker. I want to talk about anything, and you can do it, and people will pay you for that. I mean, think about it. At least if you were a fashion model, which I think is a similar industry in that it's very high pay for a short moment of time. But to be a high fashion model, right, you need to be striking, you need to be tall, you need to be thin, you need to be whatever. to be a speaker, you just have to have vocal cords. There is no other requirement. And so anybody can do it. Anybody can get on a stage. Anybody can get paid. But the problem with that is because it's easy to do, everyone thinks they can do it. Right? It's, oh, I can say I'm a speaker. I must be fabulous because I'm just doing it. And just because you can do something does not mean you're good at it.
We're talking, some folks have read your bio. Some folks have already Googled you. Others are like, I don't know who this person is. Sounds good. I like what she's saying, but what's her backstory? Okay. What's her backstory? And what was that defining moment in her life that led her to doing what she's doing now? Well, this is a good time. And then we'll come back and she'll share a couple ideas and talk about the business of speaking. Wait, there's speaking. And then there's the business of speaking. First, let's find out who we're talking to. So take a moment. You know the question, who are you? And what was that defining moment that led you to what you're doing now?
So the defining moment was unemployment. And some entrepreneurs been that, right? They are in big corporate and they bail. I was in big corporate and I got the phone call on Sunday afternoon. It's a bad day to get a corporate call saying, hey, Lee, we need you to come in at 3:00 today. We have to talk to you. So I go in on a Sunday, and then I was the human resources director. This was a division of a global company. They said, we need you to fire 272 people because we're closing the division, and you need you to do this over the next 2 years. So I did. That was my job. And while this was happening, as I got toward the end, I had nothing to do. I mean, nothing. I would sit at my desk. That was my job. And if people came in and asked me a question, I answered the question. That was it. And so I got a phone call from, there he is, other side, Mike Michalowicz. He's a speaker, he's a professional speaker. And he called me up and he said, hey, I just fired my agency. I need somebody to answer my phone and write my contracts. You're in HR. You've hired speakers before for your company. Would you mind helping me out, writing my contracts? And then you know what? In 12 weeks, your job will be over with. I'll have a new agency. You go your way. I'll go my way. That's it. I said, great idea. I asked my boss, I said, can I work on the side? She goes, I don't care what you do. Just be sitting at your desk. So I worked for 12 weeks for a professional speaker. And he was telling me, this is what you need to do, say. I was taking his phone calls. I was writing his contracts. And I thought initially, I don't like sales, so I can't do this. 10 years later, I love it. I never went back to corporate. I stayed in this entrepreneurial role. I built it up. I got other speakers. I've built a clientele. So I really started accidentally in the business. And this was my calling. So I wanted to be an entrepreneur all of my life. I knew that I wanted to run my own business. I have run other small businesses, always as side gigs, but I never had the right thing, the thing where I could actually make money at what I love doing. And now I work with phenomenal speakers. I have my own business. I'm making money. I love it.
Well, congratulations to you, amazing individual. The business of speaking. So you talk about anybody can get into speaking. You talk about it's a good paid profession. Talk about first, what is the definition of the business of speaking? And what does that look like? So folks that are listening, some of you are new at speaking. Some of you have been doing it seasonally, and you're talking to someone that works with speakers. So here's the question. Business of speaking. Give it its definition. And what does it look like these days?
So the business of speaking, here we are on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. The business of speaking is like any other business and has the same issues of any other business. And when I say that, what I mean is many entrepreneurs go into business because they have a technical skill, right? I'm going to open a beauty salon because I can cut hair. I'm going to open an electrical business because I'm a great electrician. I'm going to be a business coach because I'm really good at coaching. I'm going to be a speaker because I love the stage. I have a story to tell. I climbed a mountain. I finished a marathon. I have skills. I'm going to be a professional speaker. But Shay, I'm sure you've seen this happen. All these people are technicians, but they're not business people, right? You have the beauty salon that opens up and they go, here I am. And nothing happens because they don't know anything about marketing or profitability or hiring or leadership, right? They just go, I know how to cut hair. So the problem with speakers are they say, I'm going to speak because I'm good at that. But they know nothing about the business of speaking. They don't know how to get leads. They don't know why people hire certain speakers and not other speakers. They don't know what they're doing wrong on stage that gets them booted and gets them, that they don't get recommended to anybody else. They don't know what to charge for themselves. They don't know how to price themselves. They don't know how to negotiate. They don't know how to write a contract. So they want to be a speaker. And a lot of these people come to me, Shay, and they say, hey, you have all these speakers you represent. Can you get me jobs? Can you just make this happen for me? Just make me a speaker. No, I can't make you a speaker. That's like saying you're a hairdresser and I walk in your salon and they go, you get your hair cut. Can you just make this work for me? No, I can't make it work for you. I can't develop your business for you. I can't create your brand. I can't make you understand your books if you're not willing to do it. Now, that's being said, I do coach speakers, the ones who really want to understand the business, who are willing to go through the process. I will spend time with them and explain it. But a lot of people, because here, no barrier to entry, right? A lot of people go, I'm a speaker. I'm going to make tons of money. And if it doesn't happen easily, they're not interested. They don't want to know that it's a business. They just think it's like being discovered, right? They just want to be discovered and make it.
And it doesn't happen that way. So what advice would you give to someone that's watching right now? And let's say there's two types of individuals. There's some folks that are just getting started. I get that. And maybe there's 1, 2, or 3 things. You say, hey, look, you need these things to get ready to work with someone like myself. Okay. And we'll talk to you. So if you're out there and that's you, you're like, wait a minute, I'm a newbie, but I think I got it. I just don't know what I need to have before I even have a conversation with Lee. And then there's the other side. These are the professionals, whatever professionals mean these days. And they're like, okay, I'm in a couple bureaus over here. What's 1 or 2 things I should be doing as I prepare to work with someone like yourself? So I know it's a 2-part question, ladies and gentlemen. She can handle it. So talk to both groups if you can, or maybe it's the same. I don't know. That's what I'm asking.
No, it's a great question. And there's some overlap. So the one thing I think I would say, which is true for every level, probably the highest level has figured this out. But whether you're just starting out or you've been speaking for a while and you go, Lee, I don't understand why I don't, if I'm on stage, everyone says I'm great, but I don't get hired again. Or I can't seem to break the barrier. I can't seem to get in. A lot of speakers talk about the same thing. And the last thing you want is for someone to go, oh, you are a such and such speaker, right? You don't want to be labeled. Oh, you're one of those, negotiation speakers. Oh, you're a whatever. If you can be labeled, that means there's nothing special about you. There should be something, like you need one thing that makes you different than every other speaker out there. One thing that is uniquely you. And so I'll give an example. Again, I'm going to talk about Mike Michalowicz, my first speaker. He wrote a book called Profit First. And he went out and said, here's my different thing, right? Everything you've learned as an entrepreneur about finance is wrong. What you learned in school is wrong. You learned that revenue minus expenses equals profit. I'm here to tell you that's ridiculous. And the truth is that's going to make you money is that revenue minus profit equals expenses, not revenue minus expenses equals profit. And people, it's like, what? Nobody's ever said that before. That was a bold statement, but he based his books, his speaking and everything on that one statement that you've learned everything wrong and here's the right way. It made him an outstanding speaker and he's made it now, right? He's with bureaus. He's popular. He gets a good fee. But so many speakers I talk to, when I say, what do you talk about? 5 minutes later, I'm still listening to them because they're going on and on and on and on and on about their whole keynote. And I'm going, there's nothing there that has made me say, what? Wow, that's interesting. So I think that, and it's scary to figure out that one thing. But I think if you are a speaker who's just starting, or if you are a speaker who's been out there for a while and you're not going to the next level, what is uniquely you? And if you Google that thing and it comes up with other people's names, then that's not the thing. There's got to be something special about you. So that's one big thing. Part two.
Spot on. That's spot on.
Right?
I like that.
Thank you. Part two is I'm going to do a shout out to Damon John. And I don't know the man. I've never met him. But if you want to emulate someone who's nailed it, he gets it. There's something special about him, right? Now, he's a Shark Tank guy. There are multiple Shark Tank guys, but there are not many of them. So he's the Shark Tank guy. He's uber successful. He has a very distinct brand. Like, you see a picture of him, you could block his face out and I could tell you who it is because of the way he dresses, the way he stands, the way he presents himself. Like, he has nailed his brand. He speaks all the time for big dollars. So he's with every agency. His I've never seen him speak, but I've gotten feedback and they're like, he's got great energy. He's unique. He does, the smoke, the fire, whatever he does. He has nailed the brand of his talk, of himself, of what he does. He's super consistent and he goes after it hard again and again. And the one thing that he does that people can start doing is you need to be a celebrity. It does not mean you need to be on Shark Tank. It means you need to be known. The word celebrity literally means known by others. So you as a speaker need to be known. And that might mean getting on Shay Brown's show. That might mean having a social media following. It might mean getting on TV. It means getting out there. The number one way to get speaking is by speaking. And the number one way to do that is to be a celebrity, because I, as an event planner, want people who are going to attract people, and celebrities attract people. So if people know you, they're going to want to see you. That makes sense?
Yeah, I like that. That's a perfect segue as you was talking about that. And she broke it down for both levels, by the way. And the way that you can go implement this is we do have a segment here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show called Today is My January 1st. Now, for those folks that are tuning in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I know you wait for this moment. You wait for this segment. You can go ahead and say those magical words. Today is my January 1st. Now, for all the new folks that are tuning in, welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, or how bright and sunny that past is, the past no longer equals the future. And so my question to the one and only Lee on the other side, two parts. When you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? What do you hear? And number two, sounds like your life's been perfect. When was a setback in your life? When was something that was that you had to bounce back from that we can learn from as well?
Wow. I knew from your show, I knew these were going to be questions. And my January 1st has happened a couple times. I would love to say that I just, like today, I woke up and said, this was my aha moment. And I forged forward and had no more issues. I'm not that smart. It took me several January 1st. And I think every day that I wake up, I have to remind myself that today is a new day. And not that my past is terrible. Let me tell you, I grew up with a picket fence and 2.5 kids in a happy little neighborhood, right? But I have done really dumb things that I think other entrepreneurs can learn from. And it took me a bunch of times, a bunch of January 1sts to figure it out. And that is, don't work with mean people, or don't work with people who are not the people you want to be working with. Maybe you like mean people. I don't know. But I many times worked with mean people, mean speakers, mean clients, mean agents. And I would let that get to me and I would try harder, right? So for example, one of my early on speakers was gaslighting me. And that's when I learned what the term meant. That he would tell me I wasn't doing a good enough job. I'm very disappointed, Lee Hayes. You're not doing the work you should be doing for me. And I'd go, gosh, I need to try harder because I really need this speaker, right? I'm starting out. I need him. I've got to work harder. And then I went, you know what? Maybe I'm the wrong person for you. You should work with somebody else. And he's like, oh, you're too sensitive. Of course we can work together. And he reeled me back in and I went, oh, of course, let me try harder. And then suddenly I went, oh my gosh, he's just a mean person and I don't need this. So I said, stop calling me. Do not call me. Do not email me. Do not text me. And I really did 100% just shut him down. And that was it. I answered never again. And he went away. And I went, wait a minute. Okay, I shouldn't work with mean speakers. Then I had the mean client. Here was my next January 1st. The client who was angry because I wasn't doing what they expected. So I tried doing more to meet their expectations. But then I realized that what they were asking for was not right for me. It wasn't the offering for my company. And so I finally said to them, you know what? No, this is not what I offer. It's not that I'm doing a bad job. It's that you're asking me to do something that I don't do. And so I've had a bunch of these January 1st, and now I'm pretty solid in it that the moment somebody is not looking out for our best interest and not just them by putting me down, I won't work with them. In fact, I'm going to show you something, Shay. Here it is.
Show us.
Yes, these are my core values that I keep on my computer. I'm going to hold them up here. You'll see my first one, only work with delightful people. And I have that next to me all the time so that I never forget it. So I don't need another January 1st because every day I remind myself that I'm only going to work with the right client and the right speaker, because you'll grow that way, right? Don't be that entrepreneur that says, I have to do anything anybody tells me because I have to make one more dollar. I think if you can get rid of the bad people, you'll get lots of dollars doing the right thing.
Wow. I love it, by the way. Spot on. So transparent. Only work with delightful folks. You know, one of my other questions I love to ask, if you've seen the show, which sounds like you have, is what's one of the best pieces of advice that you ever been given, right? And I like to ask that question and let the audience know that you don't have to come down from the mountain with the 10 commandments or anything here, but you've had lots of mentors along this journey. You work with some amazing speakers. You watch probably more YouTube videos and more books than you probably can remember these days. But if you had to reach out and say, man, this is one of the best pieces of advice, and you've given us so much so far, but what's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given and why?
Okay, so here's a piece of advice I like, but I'm still a little afraid to do it, but I'm going to share it anyway. This comes from Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman was one of the founders of Priceline.com, Bookings.com, Ubid.com. He's a self-made billionaire. He's got Grammys. He's done everything. He knows everyone. Yet he's a very down-to-earth, approachable, lovely human being. I adore Jeff Hoffman. And what he said one day is that if you are a true entrepreneur, you do not worry about building an airplane and taking it to an airport and flying. You jump off a cliff and you figure out how to build the airplane on the way down. So for entrepreneurs out there might be something scary and you'll say, I don't know if I'm ready for this. What if I fail? What if this was a mistake? Jump and make the plane on the way down.
I like that. Some pretty cool stuff. What do you do for fun these days when you're not out there helping speakers make money in the business? We're not out making sure you work with only delightful folks and you're leaping out of planes. Do you jump out of planes? No, I'm just being funny.
No.
But what do you do for fun?
Oh my gosh, what do I do for fun? Believe it or not, I just wrote a book.
Tell us the name. You can't leave us hanging. We want to know the name of the book. What's the book about?
Oh, okay. So this is a book that none of you can buy. I wrote a book, another great person, Andre Norman. Andre Norman helps felons get back into society by teaching them while they're still incarcerated. And one day he said to me, Lee, I need a book that I can give to incarcerated people that they can understand how to start their own business. He said, but everything out there is too difficult because many felons don't have a college level reading skill, right? They might have a third grade reading level. Maybe they can't read at all. He said, so I need something that's basic, but does not speak down. It has to be intelligent, but be simple. And I went to many authors and I said, can you do this? And the answer I got was, that's not my brand, Lee. No, that has nothing to do with what I'm doing. So I said, I'll do it. I have, like you said, I have a lot of business mentors. I have a business degree. I've owned several businesses. I run a successful business. And so I did it. And I finished it a few days ago. So it was really my recent hobby. It took me almost 3 years to write it because I'm not an author. I've never done this before. But I wrote it and I rewrote it and I rewrote it. And then finally he said, it can't be a written book. It has to be an audio book because a lot of the people can't read it. So I just finished recording the video book and or audio book, and it's been completely edited and it's going to be out there. And hopefully I will find out probably tomorrow, it will be available to incarcerated persons to help them. It is not on Amazon. It is not on iTunes. It will be for that market trying to help them. So that was sort of my hobby goal until now.
Man, that is so cool. A big give back for folks that are watching. You have a heart to give. You have a heart to serve. For those folks that are watching and are curious, like, well, okay, Shay, as we come down the home stretch, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days? Is she looking to work with any? Because I'm a delightful person. Okay. So we're going to ask you, number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days, if any? And number two, how can folks best connect with you? How can they stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have now?
Oh my gosh. All right. I'm going to give you a list of people that I would need to work with that I love working with. So let's sort of start with the most, not difficult, but top speaker. So what I'm always looking for is the next great speaker who is emerging, right? So I'm not looking for Damon John. He's established. What I'm looking for is that person who has the TV show, has the breakout business book, has whatever, that they are really becoming known. They're getting the celebrity, and suddenly they say, people are asking me to speak. Lee, what do I do? And I will jump in and represent and help them. So I'll give an example, right over my shoulder, over here is Kevin O'Connor. Kevin O'Connor is the host of This Old House, Ask This Old House, Team Rubicon. He's been on TV for 20 years. He's done tons of appearances, but he called me one day and said, now I want to be a keynote speaker. What do I do? Right. So that was wonderful. That's the type person I'm looking for, right? Somebody who is established in some sort of celebrity and now wants to speak. So they're going to break out. But if they don't have a following as a speaker, a lot of agencies are going to go, yeah, I've heard of you, but you don't have any video. You haven't done any speaking, So I'm looking for those people. The other people I'm looking for are people who run events, who need great speakers, because I represent a number of speakers. Now, these are all mostly my speakers that are unique to me, that they're exclusive to me. I also have placed about 100 speakers in the last few years. So I'm looking for event planners and owners. And then the last person I'm looking for is the person we were talking about a little earlier, which is that person who says, I want to be a speaker. I don't understand the business of speaking. How do I get started? But it's not the people who are saying, I want to get on stage once. It's the people who are serious that they have hustle and they want to do this. They want to do this to grow their business or to spread their message or whatever it is they want to do. But I coach speakers at that level who are just like, they want to do this for real. They're really ready to invest in themselves. So it's not the people who are going, Lee, just make it happen. It's magic. I'm doing discover me. It's the people who go, Lee, I'm starting this business as a speaker and I really want to be successful. I love those people.
And I like the idea that you're working with a wide range of folks. Now, how do they contact you? Where should they go if they're interested and they want to stay in the conversation? Did you give a website or did I miss that?
I did not. I'm sorry. So Go Leeward is my website. It's GOLEEWARD. Leeward is a wind. There's a wayward wind and the leeward wind. So it's Go Leeward. And my email address is SID, like Sid. It stands for Speakers of International Distinction, SID at goleeward.com. And my contact information is also on my website. So think about going Leeward and you'll find me.
I love it. It's amazing. Thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We've got to have you back again.
I loved it. I would love to come back. Thank you so much. You are such a gracious host.
Thank you. And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, because without you, well, I like to remind you, we have no show. So we appreciate it when you show up. We think it's pretty cool when you hit the like button, but really we want you to hit that share button and pay this message forward to another entrepreneur or another duopreneur or someone out there that has a message or a story, as you were talking about earlier, and they want to impact the world and make a difference on humanity. We appreciate that. With that being said, I never get tired of reminding you every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time that you're amazing. You're already a super awesome, successful CEO. You're incredible. You're a world changer. And today indeed is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name, it hasn't changed. It's still Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And we'll make some good things out. We connect again next time. Thanks. Peace. So long. See you later, Lee.
Bye-bye.